Hello, Natalie, and hello to
Hi.
everybody who is watching. First of all, thank you very much for watching. I'm Helen of Authentic Discovery, and I'm here with the beautiful Natalie. I'm just going to alter my camera a little bit, which I should have done before, but hey ho. I'm here with the beautiful Natalie. I've known Natalie for some time, and I'm also aware that I'm probably the only person that keeps calling her Natalie or
It's
Natalie.
okay.
Natalie is another one because I don't know why, but that's what comes to mind. So, Natalie, would you like to introduce yourself or tell us something about you?
Yeah, so uh, I am a doula, but that does not describe what I do at all, really. But it's the closest thing that I can say. So I would describe myself as a doula of self, so that I have spent and am spending and dedicating my life to finding out who I am, so that I can speak my truth, and share myself, my most authentic self, with the world, and then showing other people how to do the same. That's
Okay.
very,
Just gonna, for some people may not have heard of a doula. I mean, I'm aware that a doula is traditionally somebody, it's the traditional midwife, someone that was
in a way,
there
yes.
with.
So the literal translation of the word doula from it's a Greek word. So the literal translation is like servant of woman. And um, you know, doulas they're the second oldest profession in the world, and they're like the gatekeepers of birth. They in modern times, where a midwife will look after you medically and from the waist down, a doula will look after you from the waist up, mentally, emotionally. And back before patriarchal times, that would have been, like you said, the job of the midwife to do both. But because of, I suppose, the modern medical system and our patriarchal history of treatment of women, those jobs have been separated through a mix of both. So now a doula, as I said, would provide that emotional, spiritual, and emotional aspect of the journey and ritual that is birth. So when I first found, when I first found out about what a doula was, I had just the what's the word I'm looking for, kind of misconception that doulas were, birth and postpartum. They would support birthing people through birth and postpartum, and it was like hip squeezes, like the physical kind of,
Getting your
help
body
cleaning the
back
house
to
in
normal.
postpartum. Yeah. But actually, since training with Angel Phoenix, in Dynamo Doula training, what I've realized is a doula is so much more than that. And, a doula is somebody who is there for every emotional, ritualistic part of life, from first breath right up until last, through all of the thresholds, through the start of menarche, through the menopause, through the journey from maiden to mother to crone, and everything else in between.
So she's a
My
female
eyes have
support.
opened. Sorry.
She's a female support. She's a
Yeah,
supportive woman.
yeah. I think, but I think,
Because you described yourself as well now that as a doula of self. So you see that as a support in the birthing of the self.
exactly.
Okay.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, and the reclamation, and then the subsequent birthing of self. And my intent is to hold other women, or those identifying as anybody who has a womb, or anybody who identifies as a woman, to support them through the learning of their own self and the cycles that they have within. Because as people with wombs, we have cycles, and the ignorance to that is what has caused the
Sorry, I'm
world that
laughing
we're in.
because the reason that I'm laughing is not at what you're saying. It's just it's something that I find interesting. I suppose I'm at that crone end of woman, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
grand. And it's a conversation that I've had many times as I've gained years in this experience. is that when young people kind of learn something and it's new to them, and it's like, well, how did nobody ever know this? And each time a layer is peeled back, and
Yeah.
we learn more and we learn more about the fact that yes, women are cyclical. We have monthly cycles. The moon has monthly cycles. Oh,
yeah.
does that mean that we're connected in some way? Yes. You don't take any
Who knows?
any medication or any pharmaceutical stuff. You will cycle with the moon. And I think, you know, in saying that though, I think many women are aware of their cycles, but I think there's a lack of awareness of their connection to nature, and that and we are cyclical with nature.
Hugely.
We are and connected to. And I'm finding it enlightening in some way, about how, because you're a young woman, so hearing a young woman say to me the things that I was like, I remember being militant about that, and so
that's what I feel like now. I feel like I'm militant about it.
So I'm on the settling down stage of like, but it is, I love that. I both love and get frustrated by that. The energy of the youth and young people when they are realizing these things, and it's as if, and yet there is nothing new. It's always been here. Like, why, as humanity, do we have such difficulty in learning this from a young age from our elders, and
I think
progressing it? How do you know? Like progressing it now, and right, you know, yes, we know these things. Now, how do we fix them? How do we move them forward? So,
and I suppose that's, in a nutshell, what I want to share with other people.
So I'm going to ask you a question. So what inspires you? What inspires you? What motivated you, I suppose? What inspires you to this work? Or in general in life? It's not just the work. If we're going to, you know.
Truth, actually. Truth inspires me, and finding truth in all areas. But the thing is, I think there's truth is such a multi-dimensional thing. So truth is not just one thing, and it's not just you have your truth. Like in this moment, you have your truth, I have my truth, and there are two dimensions of reality. And then everybody watching it has their own truth and their own dimension of reality. And that, you know, so no two truths are the same. And finding the balance in being okay with that, and that's kind of what drives me, is finding the balance, you know, in that. And seeing the different perspectives and being able to see the different dimensions, and then being able to choose. Because once you've got the awareness around it, awareness is the greatest catalyst for change. So once you have the awareness, then you can see all of the different dimensions, and the doors that those dimensions open up. That's what will blow your mind.
And you know, that's what you also then have a choice, and that's where the power lies. In that,
exactly,
you get to choose. You can choose to ignore what truths are before you, or you can choose to ignore whatever doors are there and carry on, but you are aware and you have made a choice. When you were speaking about truth, the analogy that came to mind, and with what you were saying, is something that I've often said about story. Like when we read or hear a story, like if I say to you Red Riding Hood, you have a story in your head, because most of us know Red Riding Hood. However, the story that you have in your head, the story that I tell, the story that you hear, the story that others hear, it's all going through the filters of our own perception and experience. So that it's one story, but it's a bit like, unfortunately, an unfortunate comparison. It's a bit like this coronavirus. It's one virus that just goes out, so it's one story that can just then be interpreted and expand and spread.
And it is being, it is being interpreted and expanded in so many different views, depending on location, age.
Oh, the virus.
Everybody has a completely different reality to the virus. And
to the truth as well.
And there's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of panic, and there's a lot of pandemonium in places. And you know, while I can understand from a sleep, I don't know how else to say it, but an asleep human mentality, what I don't understand is the intense fear and the intense panic, because, you know, where is it coming from? What is there to substantiate that fear other than the information that we are being told, which is not necessarily the full dimension of the truth? So it's very interesting for me. I'm actually going to do a video on that today. Funny enough.
All right, I have my own opinion. So for me, it's more truth than it. But I will sort of acknowledge that some will see this as opinion. But I think that for me, where I see the fear coming from is the fact that for many years now, the masses and all of us and the masses. I mean, I cut myself off from the news years ago, but we are fed fear. We have been fed fear for many, many years now. And so that to hear that there is something coming that is, you know, can potentially literally kill, destroy, end. It's not difficult to tap into that fear, to escalate that fear.
Very easy.
Very easy. And I think one of the both a positive and a negative side of this is that we are so conditioned into the fear and so conditioned into doing as we're told, that you're on lockdown. We've all locked down, you know, for most of the part. I know that the UK's had a couple of issues, but for most part, that we've all locked down because we're used to being told what to do. For some, it's because of fear, and for some, the panic buying and everything else. It's because we've been fed fear. We're constantly fed fear. So to just tap in and accelerate it is quite easy for those that wish to do so. And to, you know, I think there's those that are locking down because they're frightened and told to do so. There are those that are locking down because they're aware that they need to. And there's that locking down because, okay, let's see where it goes. So, and within that, again, there's many dimensions and lots of people are locking down for various different reasons too.
Well, so I'm not afraid.
I do know that you have spoken about this lockdown, and you have connected it to woman, to more so to motherhood. You've made that connection that this really isn't that different a time for those stay-at-home mums to be at home.
No, it's not. And it was a friend of mine that had initially planted the seed in my head and had said this, Natasha, and she had said to me, it's like we're in postpartum. And she said, you know, this kind of life, for example, she's been a stay-at-home mom for, I think, 4 to 5 years. I can't quite remember exactly how old her oldest is. Actually, probably even older than that. And she's had her kids quite close together, 3, which is quite common. And so she's been home for most of that while her partner went out to work. You know, when I had Eska, my eldest, my partner, it was my life because I had no family support. I only had a handful of friends, and I was in the depths of postpartum depression. So I felt like at that time, the couple of connections that I did have, I didn't feel comfortable reaching out to them. You know, I wasn't in a place where, you know, I felt, you know, sometimes I did like little small bits, but I would always retreat back into myself. It was a time of great loneliness. My partner was a chef, and he worked like 14 hours a day, so I was just pretty much at home with the baby all by myself. And I was suffering a lot with anxiety, and I got to the stage where I couldn't even leave the house. So I was just at home all of the time. I couldn't even go into the garden at one stage, you know. So, you know, seeing oh, we're all on lockdown, let's panic buying, blah, blah, it just doesn't make sense to me, because it's like, this is the life of mothers with young children. And, you know, if anything can kind of, you know, spark in people's brains is that if they've never realized that this is the real life of mothers, maybe they can start to appreciate mothers more. And then this creates awareness. What is happening is awareness on the realness of postpartum. And as I said earlier, awareness is the catalyst for change. So if we create the awareness, then we have an opportunity for the catalyst of change to come on. And that is for the village to come back. And, you know, for like women really supporting women, no collaboration over competition, you know, real sister support, real mother, crone, daughter support, and real awareness around how we as women, as individuals, and also as a collective need to heal, you know, and how we need to heal together.
Yes.
And there's, you know, there's huge movements going on in the world now of women finding their people. I'm not going to be the woman to lead somebody else through. I may be the woman for some person, but I might not be the woman for another person, and that's okay. It's all about you finding your tribe so you can find yourself.
That's quite, you know, you say things, and I think one of the things to remember is that when you know something, when I know something, I just think everybody knows, because if I know, then everybody must know. But the reality,
yeah, I'm the same.
The reality,
yeah,
we don't all know. So it is, I've forgotten what you said that I was equating that to, but it was to do with what you just said. That somebody needs to hear that we are, that, you know, that the things that are being said, it's completely gone. I am in that stage of life, so yeah, it's gone. But there was a connection between saying those things, and again, I suppose that also connects with that. When you know, you think, not only do you think everybody knows, but when the young come through, you're like, you know, we've been saying this, but it's about that not presuming, not making the assumption that because you know something, everybody else does. Sharing that, and as women, another thing I was kind of, this is a very unique time, I believe, for you know, I say women, but for womankind, it's a very unique time. It's only in my lifetime, you know, women have burnt their bras. There's still a lot to do on the equality front, and women have held and had to find different ways of exerting their power in the past. But now is a new time for women to be able to step up, stand up. I think one of the things that I was watching, rewatched a movie the other day, and it brought home that even though there has been this evolution of woman in the world and her independence, and woman has been allowed to shine and say, well, you know, hello, we've always been able to do this stuff, you just haven't, this patriarchal society, as you've spoken about, just hasn't, you know, was so afraid of us. And it is, I think that oppression comes from fear. If you're oppressing somebody, it is because you have a fear. So there has been that fear. And now women are allowed to, you know, not allowed, even the terminology that I'm using, women being allowed.
You know, it's a process for all of us to get out of that
evolution happening. What saddened me was that ultimately a group of men, you know, where you've got more than one man and one woman, you know, like two men, one woman, and if those men take a mind to overcome the woman, the weapons that they use against women, which are weapons of war, as well. Within wars, they rape and pillage the women to eliminate the culture. We are, you know, we're vessels of so many types, and we're used in so many heinous ways for power. You know, and unfortunately, at the moment, I'm not sure that womankind, the whole of us have evolved enough to stop that. Anyway.
I probably disagree with you, because I think it is actually, it's changing, and you know, the women that are out there there's women out there doing crazy work, like crazy work with other women, and they're spreading their message, and people are hearing their message, you know, and I'm extremely grateful and lucky that I have one of those women as my teacher. I've got a couple of those women as my teacher who are just breaking all of the rules and all of the barriers about what we have been told being a woman means. And
Do
for
you think that
me,
mankind, so which bit are you disagreeing with, that mankind has evolved enough, the whole of us, man
yeah,
and
I think
womankind have evolved
that,
enough that will no
yeah,
longer be utilised as a weapon?
yeah. So I think that, right, I'm going to just go deep into astrology, deep into into an explanation of these times at the minute to explain why. So astrologically, Saturn is going into Aquarius, which is a new cycle. It's the beginning of you can do a lot more research on this for people watching. There's some amazing accounts like Chinicles, Queer Cosmos, the Angela Gallo. There's loads and loads of accounts that you can find on Instagram that give so much information about what's going on astrologically at the moment. So Saturn's going into Aquarius, which is a new, it's the start of the astrological year chart. Aquarius is number 1. So we're going in, Saturn also lives in cycle, and its cycle is 29.5 years. So every 29.5 years ish, for everybody, we go through this almost rebirth every time around 27 to 33, in around those years, and then the same again for the next 29.5 years. And now Saturn's coming into a new cycle, and Aquarius is, the sign of the humanitarian. So we're coming into that humanitarian period, and Saturn will be in Aquarius until July, and then it retrogrades back into Capricorn until the end of the year, and then it comes full circle and goes into Aquarius for a full new cycle. So in this time, we are getting a glimpse of the possibilities. Right?
I love possibilities.
So we're getting this time between now and July is a glimpse into the possibility of what the human experience can actually be. And then it will retrograde back, and that will bring up the resistance for the second half of the year. But if we get through the resistance, then we start a new period from 2021. And that's a whole new cycle. Now, I speak a lot about the mother wound. It's at the forefront of my work. And the mother wound at a core is the pain of being a woman, or the pain of the feminine through the patriarchal times that we have lived in, and because we have been squashed. So when we speak about truth, and there's so many different dimensions of truth, you have positive and negative. They're just 2 dimensions. They're the first 2 dimensions. So when you have one thing that happens, then you can view it from 2, from 4, from blah, 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 blah. But the first 2 is the positive and negative. Now, we have this negative view on negative, that it's bad, right? But say for a minute, we think of positive and negative as equal, right? And then we also can relate masculine is the positive energy and feminine is the negative energy. So explaining that in a different way will be the masculine is searching for the light, for the knowledge. The feminine is searching and living in the dark, searching for the wisdom. So back in times, we have a fight against knowledge and wisdom, light, dark, positive, negative. And because we were in the dark, and because the dark brought the scary times in visual sense, that's where the negative aspect of the bad, of the feminine, of the dark came in, and that's where the fear around that came in. Men were, in the light, searching for wisdom. Women were in the shadows, following the moon cycles. They were in the dark, following the cycles of nature. And that's where it began. And I think it goes a lot deeper than the mother wound being a wound that's passed on mother to daughter, because in a nutshell, that's what it is. But it is actually a wound of the feminine, the feminine of the earth. You cannot have masculine without feminine. If they're out of balance, then we have been in a masculine energy, and that's where we have been. But now the feminine is waking, even on a Mother Earth level. Like, look at Mother Earth now. She is healing herself. She is healing herself.
As we do.
and when you put all of that together, and you start to see, like, the conversation that we're having now, the people that are going to watch this, the message that we are talking about that is going to be spoken about some more. This is how we are going to change the world. By having conversations, and by people seeing these conversations. And by speaking the truth. And, you know, when you
Do
look
you think
beyond the media, beyond the fear, beyond the panic, beyond all of it, you go within. Like, unity is not to be found between me and you becoming one, me and all of the other people in the world becoming one. No, unity is within. The only place you'll find unity is to find the unity within yourself, to love yourself for all of yourself, and to rid of this bad and good kind
ideology?
Yeah, exactly, and just lean into accepting.
Once you have found, once you are at peace, for want of a better expression, once you have that unity of self, that emanates out. You know,
exactly.
if everybody's, you know, like you said, collaboration, not competition, and if everyone has gained a level of awareness of self, and not just the awareness of self, the acceptance of self, and the love of self. Once you
for all facets of self.
Oh everything about you, and once you learn, once you have gained that within yourself, you know. Look, I mean, I don't think I've ever been in competition. I would never have considered myself a competitive sort, and the only person I am in competition with is me, in order to be the best me, and that whether I'm male, female, young, old, if you are being the best version of you, that not even version, the best you that you can be, and if you are honouring all aspects of self, and even this light, this dark, we have this idea that the dark is not a great thing to be having and whatever. And if you read the Hermetic principles, you know, where does light start and where does dark start, where does good start, where, you know, and even though you've sort of put them on this opposites, I do see everything more as the symbol for infinity, as a continuum, rather than the opposite. So you may be that on this continuum, there's your positive, there's your negative, or whichever way around you want to put it, but it is a continuum, and it's not, there's not, we have, as a species, as humanity, have this idea that we're either good or bad, that it's is either good or bad. It is either light or dark. It is either, we're either feminine or masculine, and yet the reality is that we are all.
Exactly.
We are all.
And all of us are all.
All of us are all. And when we identify, I am this, I am that, we are narrowing ourselves, and actually diminishing. We're bringing ourselves in rather than expanding. And when we expand ourselves, and and by knowing that awareness, great things can happen. I don't disagree with anything you've said, so I'm still trying to think which bit did she disagree with. But then sorry,
that mankind is not evolved enough.
I know. I do wonder, is mankind evolved enough? And as you were speaking, you know, one of the thoughts that came to my mind was, you know, the dawn is always dark, you know, it's always darkest before the dawn. And you know, if mankind feels like he's trapped or going to lose something, I'm aware that hurt people, and there are a phenomenal amount of people who are happy to stay with their discomfort. They are happy to stay with their pain. And I'm not sure, whether that is more of humanity, or whether there's a good balance, or whether that's a small amount. I suppose because of the work that I do, I meet people that are in those scared places, but they are people that are open to that evolution of self, and that unity of self, and finding and peeling back the layers. But my concern that came to my head was, are they going to feel like, you know, a rat in the corner and attack? Is there going to be this whoosh of non-productive, non-helpful things before it then, you know? And I think that love is the answer, you know. You know, to ease people out with love. It's one of the things that I heard once said about slavery, and making slaves free, I think it was, that and one of the fears that a lot of people had about it, and I'm going to put this down to a colour thing, although it's more expansive than that, that the white people were frightened that if they let the black people be free, that the black people would treat the white people the same way that the white people had treated the black people and enslavement. And that's a fear that people have of walking towards something, towards freedom, towards enlightenment, that it's not real enough. And I think, like you said, we have to have these conversations. We have to stand in that light. We have to have the mud thrown. We have to have the all of that duty. And whenever people talk about throwing shit and things like that, and the thing that comes out of my mouth next is always, yeah, but roses grow from the best manure. So throw the shit, throw what you've got to throw, and grow. As long as we are growing, I don't want nobody throwing shit at me, by the way. Okay, peeps? No, but I'm aware that out of the...
Is that important information?
Yes.
Don't actually...
I just don't want that now. So yeah, I kind of also... Anyway, that's gone again. I actually remembered what it was that I was connecting things to, but that went...
Oh.
So I think that was my... I'm unsure how much of humanity has evolved, has come for, as even started on that trip of unifying mind, body, and soul with self.
I don't know how active you are on Instagram, but on Instagram there is it is actually like off the charts. To be perfectly honest with you, it's like off the charts on Instagram if you're following the right people. So like there's an account for example, Nicole at the Holistic Psychologist. Nicole is a trained psychologist and was a psychologist in America for a number of years. But the traditional model of psychology she was blatantly able to see was not working. And when she started to go deeper on her own self-healing journey, she created the Holistic Psychologist. And that's her handle on Instagram. In 1 year, she gained 1 million followers.
Wow.
1 million followers in 1 year. And she hit 1 million before she was on Instagram a year. She took a chance, she left her job, and she created this account through, as off the top of my head remembers, just the encouragement of her partner that what she had, this account, she provides all of the information for free. And she has an army of #self-healers all doing the work individually. So you're thinking that's one person in 1 year, 1 million followers, and all of those 1 million people are doing the work.
And they're spreading out that. I do see, yeah, absolutely.
That's one person.
I know. I hear you. And again, I feel like I'm being the one that's kind of playing. I am playing devil's advocate here, which is it's half sitting well with me.
People will be at home would be probably saying, people watching this who will probably be saying the same. So it's actually good that you're kind of.
I suppose one of the things that I'm aware of is that when you work or walk or live in a certain way, you attract like minds. That's one of the things that I want to kind of open up on these Speak Your Truths. Like, I happen to know someone who is a living Nazi, so and they have all of those ununified desires. So as much as there is this, and I do think, I can't deny that there's been a shift in consciousness and things are changing. And I truly, genuinely am excited by the opportunity that has been offered by the coronavirus, in all fairness.
Yeah, me too.
I'm grateful for it.
Yeah,
I'm wary of where, who I may lose, or whether I'll survive myself, in all fairness. However, we're all, you have to put these things into perspective and live. We are here to live.
Exactly.
But because I'm aware of people in different environments, I've been very blessed in my life to meet people from all sorts of walks of life. I'm also aware that one is spreading out and that one is spreading out. So that's why I have this question of whether mankind as a whole, because we, even culturally, I mean, this is the first time in the world, in the history of man as well, the whole world together, right, is experiencing the same thing. Never before. I wrote a blog post on it yesterday, so not on that particular thing, but on.
What did Angel? Angel did a live yesterday, and she said that the last time Saturn was in Aquarius, so there was the Great Depression, was the time Saturn was in Aquarius that time during the Great Depression, and what other time was there? There was 3 others, and she mentioned, I can't think of them off the top, but really huge historical moments that we remember of humanity as a whole going through. But this, like you said, is the first time that we are ever experiencing it. You know what I mean?
I would even say the Great Depression wasn't a global thing.
It actually wasn't. No, it wasn't.
It may have infiltrated people, but I truly believe that this is the first.
Actually, no, you're right. Yeah, you are. You're right. Because even what she said, I can't remember exactly what it was she said yesterday, but no, you're right, because none of them were actual full-on global.
I don't doubt that there was that some in some of these areas felt effects of different things, but if my understanding of our human history is, even the world wars didn't go all over the world.
No, they didn't.
This is something that has the entire
everyone,
and most countries within each of those continents are experiencing this. We're seeing videos and live feeds from all over the globe about how this is going on. We're getting, you can look for figures on how many people, and this is the most collective togetherness that I believe mankind has ever experienced consciously. I do believe in a collective unconscious, as Jung spoke about, because there's too many examples not to. But this is the first time that we are consciously, all of us are experiencing a very similar experience. You know, we're having a very shared experience here. And so there is the opportunity, again, it's that opportunity of possibility of, it could be phenomenal.
The thing that this is bringing up as well is how we treat ourselves, and what's really bringing to the forefront is how we treat ourselves and how we look after ourselves, and what we eat, what we drink, what vitamins we take, how we look after ourselves in that aspect. Are we getting the right amount of vitamins for whatever, you know, we're going through at that time? Are we keeping ourselves well? Are we self-isolating when we're sick? Everything that we're doing in this moment, everything we all should have been doing, and we're all guilty of not doing it. But in a nutshell, right, and this might be a bit provocative to say, but it is a cold and a flu, and unless you have underlying medical things, right, unless you have anything that's like underlying medical, which is also the case with the normal flu, then, you know, it's a cold or flu. Like, it's
a little bit more, but yes, I do hear what you're saying.
You know what I mean, right? And I get like that it is serious, and it's a lot more serious for more people with underlying health conditions than older people. But it, you know, like old people and people with underlying health conditions, they die from things like flu, colds, pneumonia, bronchitis every day. This is not something new. And all of these like strategies, like, you know, like taking extra vitamin C and zinc and staying self-isolated when there's, you know, when you have these symptoms, we should have been doing this anyway. And I really fucking believe that this is Earth, Mother Earth, her way of like literally like slapping us all like in the face and being like a reminder that you cannot ignore, that you have to follow, so that it will change your mindset about how you look after yourself going forward, and actually give you that kick up the B-side that you need to actually put what we should all have been doing in the first place into practice.
Yes.
So you know what I mean? And that's where I think
I would like people to
aren't getting it, are going to get it, is because they're being slapped in the face by Mother Earth. And while she's doing it, she's healing herself and then giving us the opportunity of alone time to heal ourselves.
Yeah.
So when we come back together, we have found the unity within ourselves.
Hopefully when we come back together as well, we will appreciate each other more and respect each other more. And for me, that's what it is. The world that I want to see is the world where we're different, You have your view, I have my view, but we don't have to go and beat each other up about it. We can just go, all right, okay, you, that's your truth, this is mine. But we can still go and, if necessary, plough a field, plant a rose bush. We can do these things together. We don't have to agree on everything. And this is something that I was actually thinking about talking about somewhere else. But this them and us mentality that we have lived on for so long. And if you're not with me, you're against me. No, I just don't agree with you. It's not, I'm not against you. I absolutely will fight for your right to have that view. I don't agree with your view, but I totally get that you can have that view. And I think that this is one of the things I want to do with these conversations, is because I truly believe that people don't get the opportunity to hear themselves either. And, you know, we have all this stuff running around in our head. So we get the opportunity to hear and then say, oh, is that what I really thought? And like, this is an opportunity to sit with ourselves and go, well, who am I then? And what's important to me? What do I need? What have I let go of that I really don't need to pick up again?
Exactly.
You know,
and what can you learn about yourself?
Yes.
Yeah. And what can you learn about yourself in silence? Like, somebody had posted on Facebook.
That was one of my questions for you.
Oh, go on.
What have you learnt about yourself? Just in your life in general. So I'm going to double barrel the question. No, what have you learnt about yourself? What would you say is the greatest learning that you have had on your journey of self-discovery about yourself?
That I know nothing.
If I could high five you there, I'd be high fiving you. The more I find out, the less I know.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and to accept that on an ego level, I'll have to say it's been a work in progress. That's still in progress. It's like work in progress, ... I'm still on the ...
I actually describe myself as a life in progress.
Yes. Oh my God, that's amazing. Actually, life in progress.
So this life in progress would like to ask you, what are your plans then for 3 months and 12 months?
Oh God, right. So
3 months.
3 months. That's a good question, because actually that's where I am at the minute, is trying to figure that out. So I had some plans, but Corona's kind of, you know, put my travel plans up in the air, and as such I was going to go to Australia for my own. So 2020 is the year of mastery of self. They're my words for the year, is mastery of self. I feel like I've reclaimed myself, and now it's my time to step into the master role of mastering myself. And part of that would have been, and hopefully will be still, going to Australia in July to work with my teachers in person, and go to which school, which I can't even contain.
Some of these things are conversations for another time.
Oh yeah, totally. But I, obviously that's a bit up in the air at the minute. So for the next 3 months, what I'm actually going to concentrate on doing is, what I should have been concentrating on doing is actually valuing my self-worth and putting that into practice, and creating the things that I know I have that I've just been too afraid to put out there. So I'm booming. So I have created a circle, Pussy Circle, and that is going to be opening soon. Doors to that are going to be opening properly soon, which is the reclamation of self, and the reclamation of self as individuals, reclamation of self in sisterhood, and the reclamation of the word pussy.
Yes, I love that word. There's another word for pussy that I really like that I think will get us thrown off YouTube, so I'm not going to say it. But I one of the things that offends me really is that the descriptions for female genitalia are all considered in a negative context.
Yeah.
Yet they are our pleasure, life-giving centres. How dare you demonize them? Really does annoy me. And yet the ones for men's genitalia are fun and you know, like, oh, it's great.
The biggest insult, especially as a man, to be called either one of those words. Yes. And this is something.
And yet it's one of the strongest points of woman. It's just the
exactly.
Anyway, we're not going to get into that one now.
They're the only two words that we have that describe our physical reproductive system along with the spiritual aspect of it as one thing. We have so many words to describe all the different parts, but they're the only two words that we have to describe the thing. And the thing about the second word that you aren't going to mention,
But we can't say.
No, we can't say, but I can say there's a goddess. So that word comes from the goddess Kunti, and
Yes.
Kunti is the goddess of the feminine, the goddess of it all. And obviously patriarchal times came in, and they, with the bad, put it as the bad, and blah 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 blah. The rest is history, and here we are now. I am reclaiming all of it, and I want to share with everybody how.
Let me ask you, where can people find out information about you? I'd like to say that I'm going to write it all and put it in the WhatsApp, but that's very unlikely because I'm not that tech savvy. So I'm just going to ask you to tell the audience, tell the people that are watching and listening, where they can find out more information about you.
So Instagram is my place of, it's kind of my website / my diary / it's me.
And what's your Instagram name?
It's at I am _Natalie, which is NATTIE _Marie.
Say it again.
At I am _Natalie NATTIE _Marie. So I'm in the process of doing all the background stuff, websites. As I said, I was afraid.
But that's where people can find you right now.
For the moment, yeah, for the moment. I post a bit on Facebook, but I don't feel Facebook is as, I post some things that I post on Instagram on Facebook, but not everything, because Instagram just feels safer to me for I just connect with it better than Facebook. So, and the way it processes. So, I keep Facebook more just for friends, and just, that kind of checking in, scrolling creepy stuff.
Okay. All right. My last question for you is, what truth would you like to share?
That the duality of truth is, and finding the duality of truth within yourself is the only truthful way to go in this life. And it all begins inside. It's all inside.
Find out who you are and all the would you just, you said duality? So I'm
but all the different facets of yourself. Because I feel like, for example, duality is probably the wrong word, because I feel like, I have like 15, 16, 17, 18 different faces that I see, but then there's every single person in this world that I have ever come into contact with.
So where do you think you would like to begin with the therapy?
It's like, there's thousands, and there's thousands of different versions of me out there. Every single person I've ever come into contact with is a completely different version of me than the next.
And that's not necessarily who you are and how you identify with you.
Exactly.
Because that's their experience, again, coming through their filters and their perceptions.
Yeah, and it makes the conversation of judgments and, like how we judge others, really we just judge ourselves. So it's, finding that truth and loving and accepting all of the different dimensions of yourself and your truth as you possibly can, because that's when you create unity within. And when you create the unity within, it just flows everywhere else. You don't need to work. Only work you need to do is in here. That's it. That's the truth for me.
All right. I'm just going to finish up. So thank you, Natalie, for taking the time out to come and speak and share this conversation with me. I'm really grateful. And thank you to everyone who has taken the time to watch and to listen. And I hope that you have all found this of value. I know that I've been quite excited about this and enjoyed this very much.
Me too.
So, Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Helen.
Hold on 1 second. I'm just going to stop the recording. But yes, everybody, thank you, Natalie. Thank you. Be blessed, be careful, be mindful, be grateful, be kind, and take care of yourselves. Hold on.